old building when Lance was mama ducking a bunch of them. This bottle is frozen to the table. I came out to look at the aquaponics system. It's all dead. It's frozen. We have a heater in the top tank where the fish are, but it's not doing a lot. But the reason I came back out here is I walked past all these cans are cracking. You can see just the sun heating up really changes things quickly. It's like you're starting to see water here on top melt, and this one here is a couple inches thick here. But these cans will heat up from here and in the surface area. So in a couple hours today, these cans will probably be water again. The sun does amazing stuff, even though the temperature of the air is 18 degrees out here. It's chilly. It's about 8 o'clock right now. It has been such a soupy mess outside because everything's frozen. We had a lot of rain and then it froze, but as soon as sun comes up, ice starts to melt. On this table, it hasn't. But my point is, I'm leaving my cleaner shoes outside because I come back and I'm just got mud everywhere. But I have a feeling that it is cold enough today that will not be an issue. Currently 18 degrees. I have on whatever this is, Cabela's stuff. I'm pleased with it. 95%, I have no complaints. The only complaint is sizing, which was my issue, right? I bought this hard shell, a medium, fit perfect, and then when you layer up clothing, it's a little tighter. So really you need to have a hard shell in medium and in large for different layering. And then Expedition hoodie, my outside one, which is filthy, hasn't been washed this year yet. About to wash everything. My Cole pants, inevitably I had on some pants because I went to dinner last night. Put the clean pants on this morning. Literally 10 minutes into the day, I'm like, I better take these off because I'm going to end up outside somehow. The hat, awesome. Bought it kind of as a joke with Amanda. Super cutesy on her. A little tight on me. It's got some rabbit fur and stuff. Very warm. I'm definitely going to look at a real, version of this thing, like an actual rabbit fur hat. They can be costly, but if you take care of them, you actually have to maintain fur. Like when you put it away at the end of the year, there's a process to store it. If you just leave it around, things will eat it. Man, it's awesome. We still have issues with the gate right now. Dog, he has learned that he can just dig through this gravel. I think Nick was talking about pouring in concrete, which seems like an awesome idea. Seems like quite an undertaking as well. But I think the immediate fix is just to put a rail tie in here on this side so that the gate can only open one direction, and put gravel behind it. And I think that'll slow him down until we decide what we're going to do fence-wise. Everything's frozen right now, so I don't think he's digging today. Nick came through, put this big all thread down in there, and hammered a proper pipe in there. So this gate will secure, as will this gate over here, and I can turn him out. He's been in here overnight. You can see he's making nests, super warm. I'm gonna let you out in just a second, buddy. And then just verify, check this gate before I turn him out there. You can see we had this huge gap on this fence. Right after they put this fence in, a tree hit it and it kind of pulled the post. The fencing never was, not awesome. And looking at it now, for the money we paid for it, it is not like commercial fencing. It's kind of bullshit. It should have had, at least at a very minimum, a wire across the bottom, which was never installed. Knowing now, it should probably have pipe. I would want it with a pipe in the middle. If you're just trying to keep a puppy in or something. But if you're doing real commercial fencing, just look at a lot of options. Just know what you're doing. This is locked up, but like this gap was so big that this wouldn't. So Tim took a pipe and put it on here kind of we just had to do a lot of, silly shit like that. We're locked in now. I'm gonna let him out. He won't just go get out. When you're watching him, he knows. This dog is so smart. He's smarter than most people that you deal with on a daily basis. Hi. He's going to spend all of his time herding you away from the door. He wants to push you further away from the door so that you'll stay out here with him. He needs some friends. He needs a job right now is what he needs. He needs something to occupy him. And when we put him with the other dogs, he is too much dog for them. When they've had enough and they're done playing and kind of growl, that turns into a more aggressive growl, and that turns into a little yip, and then he'll yip back, and he just has too much mouth for them. Especially that grumpy old female up there. She won't just back down. She'll keep fighting and end up with some ditches in her. So these are all nailed in, and that's where he was getting out. And this really seems to have addressed it. Cody tweaked his back a little bit moving these things. Next day, Nick's like, oh, I'll just do it myself. He got them all into place, put them all in. Equipment definitely helps. I'm like, hey, why are you doing that, not using the tractor? He's like, just used to doing stuff the hard way. I'm like, yeah, but you don't have to. Not today. Like, it's accumulative. When you do shit the hard way, it breaks you. And over time, it causes damage which will always be there. It's kind of what I'm learning. Like, I did stuff as a kid all the time. You just bounce, like when you hit the ground, you know, when you crash on a motorcycle, it goes slow motion, head hits, it's a big, huge hollow thump, boom, you get up, your bells rang right. Nowadays, you do that shit at 50, you're gonna be messed up for 6 months. Like, if you even recover 100% from it. Preservation, and that's what I'm trying to teach people that I'm around. I'm like, you can do that and you can muscle through it, you know, especially my kids, you can muscle through it. But if you just 1% deviation would avoid the whole situation, not be a pussy, just act as though, like, you know, if you're prepping and you're homesteading, I always tell guys, I go, it's not gonna be a gunfight that kills me, it's not gonna be zombies that get me, it's gonna be the infected hangnail, right? You just did things just at a slight lower speed, you would avoid those accidents. I wonder what he's got down there at the water. The backside of the pond is frozen right now. We're supposed to have sustained cold like this for about 6 weeks, I think. We'll see that pond freeze up. When we go out to the lake, there's a bridge goes across, and that thing will freeze solid, like solid, you could ice skate on it. Guys, you'll see kids out there throwing huge boulders, and when you drive out there a few days after the thing's been frozen, there'll be hundreds of rocks, and you're like, how did these kids get these rocks even moved to throw them at the frozen water? And they won't go through, they'll sit there. So I'm sure it's like a little boat launch area there, and I'm sure if you dove down there, I'm sure it gets to a point that they have to go through and actually move the rocks so the boats can actually launch right there. It's beautiful out there. You hear vehicles right now, but the wildlife is sitting and moving very slowly. But when we get up the hill, we'll start seeing some birds and stuff there. We'll probably see some squirrels in the tree lines here. I would like to show you this for all the bitching and complaining. I'm sure there's people like, man, that guy has a brand new four-wheeler and all he does is complain. As much as I like the old four-wheelers, we've named it Tortuga, right? That's tortoise, right? It's just slow and armored. It's like that armadillo, like that spiked little dinosaur, right? But watch. Starts right up, first time every time. Fuel injection. Whereas those other four-wheelers, you'd be messing with them a couple minutes in this weather to get them to go. You can see right here where the skid steer ran, there's a straight track. When we get rain, it'll literally just exit right down here. I'll come through when the ground opens up a little bit, and we'll kind of rake that back in place, and then we'll start putting wood chips. We'll cover this path with wood chips. And I usually like to build my path from the bottom up. I'll put wood chips here, kind of spread them, and then just keep going. That way I'm pushing them into the ground, and it gives it more fiber, gives it someplace to soak into, as well as it covers it, right? So it's not doing as much as pushing wood chips into the ground, which rots them faster. I'm not planning to come back through here. I haven't even been using this road much just because it's so sloppy up top, but it's frozen as it is. I want to go up there and just see what it looks like right now. I'm going to close this right now in case Magnus does find his way out. That will slow him down. Hey, dumbass, I guess you're on the wrong side of the gate. Guess I need to be on the side of the gate with a four-wheeler. That's something else we're addressing, is just putting better pipes in the ground and better ways to secure these gates. We also have chain staged at a lot of places should we ever need it. We can run chain across big trees and really lock down access points, because you can run through chain link fences. You're not going to drive through chain. I mean, you can cut it and stuff, but they ain't going to come through it. Hey girl, what's up? I'm holding this right now. I don't know what it's doing, but the bolt snap's frozen. I don't know how well it's working. Didn't take too much. Somebody was asking me about our prepper conference, and they said, hey, I live in California. Do you know of any, meetings and prepper conferences or symposiums or anything in California? I said, man, I don't. I left California 16 years ago. I said, when we do these things and parties and stuff, we have people literally come from all over the world. People fly in from Japan, they come from Canada, Germany, New Zealand, all the time. And it wasn't like, hey, you should get on a plane and come here, but I was just, pointing that out. But do you anybody know of any groups doing this stuff in California? The thing is, California hates people like us, and really you are so limited as to what you can do in California freedom wise. You can do a lot, but until you go someplace free, you don't know what a slave you really are. And once you do, you can't be freedom minded and really stay there. Like, the best thing we ever did was leave California. That pond's got ice all through it. She's excited. Her fur on her tail's all growing back. Excavator came up here yesterday. You can see what it just pushes. It's about 6-inch tracks there, which will fill with water when it rains and erode if we don't address it. Nick put all these wood chips out. Beautiful. Ground's frozen, wood chips aren't. They're producing heat already. The birds love them. They dig through them. They'll poop on them all over the place. And in 6 months, this will just be more beautiful potting soil up top here. This stand of pine trees here, it's called windblow. It just means that seeds blew here and grew. These pine trees were here, this stand, and it was the only place out here that really provided a good amount of shade as well as shelter from aerial animals, birds of prey. When we put the panels in here, and this has changed and evolved over time, but this is about the size that it always has been. And we just had a mud hole. The ducks made a mud hole. The water would kind of come down. There was a little depression. So we just started digging it out, and everything's frozen around, but you can see the birds will break through. You can see that this is all where they've been, and then they have not broken through here. Busted that stick there, but I did bust a hole through. So it's only an inch so right now, maybe ½ inch. It will freeze solid. My point to this is, knowing what I know now and building this pen, I would probably take it out a few more feet and have the edge right there because it catches sun, you can see. This will be frozen here in the shade, but all this out here will just turn to water really quick. And that water will travel under and heat this also. Just things you don't know. Like, you have no idea until you've already done it or made the mistake. You know, type 1 mistakes, right? Things you can't change. In permaculture, they talk about that, right? The type 1 issue is like a mountain. You're probably not moving that. A river. You're probably not rerouting that. Things like that. This one is not such a big issue. We brought the excavator up yesterday to muck this out. This hole is usually about 6 feet deep, and within 90 days, it'll be 6 inches deep because of the duck. They just bring them a bunch of debris, rinse it out, eat the stuff they want, put the mud, poop in the water, and they leave everything in the water. Well, with this pipe here, I used to just be able to kind of reach over. You can see where I've hit it a few times. Reach over and kind of grab it without taking the panels down. And then it was just such a mess yesterday, I didn't want to come up this and tear this all up. So I'm like, well, we'll just get in here with some muck boots and some shovels. A couple dudes, 3 dudes, we can have it done in under an hour. Do it a few times a year. I take the mud, put it to the backside, build the berm up. The ducks like to come and take all that stuff they've left in the water and the mud and burrow through there. So we're constantly fighting the ducks. We could probably add some mesh in there and some concrete or something, but it's not a big deal. It needs to be done anyways. This puts us out here and we kind of know what's going on with them. People ask all the time, they're like, don't your ducks get cold? We provide places for them to go. We used to build little, you know, igloos out of straw and all. They never go there. They like, you'll come out here at night if you can sneak up quiet enough. They're literally laying on the ice in the middle of the night, and they're up all night. But you can see they're over here now, mainly just because I'm in here. I just fed them, so now they're out just walking around doing whatever. And then people ask, why don't they fly? Don't they fly away? Ducks that are born there, they typically don't migrate. Some of our ducks hatch these ducks out. All these ducks here though, a lot of the original duck came from the old building when Lance was mama duck and a bunch of them. He was tending to a duck nest and hatched a bunch out, and we moved here with these ducks and these geese. The beautiful greenheads and stuff, they're not like wild ducks that would fly and migrate, but they look similar, you know, like a mallard, these greenheads here. Beautiful. They were all born here and they never fly. They don't even fly out of here. When we first moved here, they knew there was a pond way over there and they would fly down there, and they got eaten up pretty quick. And now these ducks just don't. I don't know why. I don't know why they don't fly to the water. A couple of them like get out, like this one. She's always out. That's the one that has the nest. She's the only one that leaves. Like all these other ducks, we don't clip their wings or nothing. And when you chase them, they'll fly. I don't know why they don't fly out. Oh, look. First zip tie of the day. As cold as it is, I'm surprised to see the amount of eggs I'm seeing right now. Would you like one of these? Come here. You want that? Probably too cold to break. Out of the first egg box, there's a good amount of eggs today. I would have said that there's going to be way less, as cold as it is, but we'll see what the other one looks like. The other box usually doesn't have as many eggs. This is out of one coop side. There's more chickens here, but we don't get as many eggs out of them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, especially in the winter. The other side has exactly 12 birds, and I typically get about 8 eggs out of there right now in the winter. These are actually my better egg layers, but this set of birds just looks beat to shit. And I think it's because I kept them too heavy and they pulled a lot of tail feathers out. Like these guys here are really heavy. They're not pulling feathers yet, but I'm keeping them heavy because they were young when we put them out there, and I wanted them to produce body heat because there's no supplemental heat out there. It works, but this set of birds over here is really ratty. They're actually some of my better egg layers, which is why I keep them. Guineas are super vocal, and I don't know why. They have been the last few days. So I put food down, and they're over here eating, and that kind of quiets them up. Get out of there. And I spread it out in a long strip, because if I put it in a pile, the dogs want to eat it. She's over here trying to eat it, but they eat less of it this way. And I thought maybe it's water, because they're dumb. They won't fly over fences. So I put a bowl of water out here. We'll see if they kind of migrate to the food and use the water and quiet down. I don't know what they want. I love this sound. Zip tie. A lot of these pieces are small now, so maybe we're down to just zip tie pieces now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eggs in this one. Zip tie. 5 eggs out of there. I'm going to take them over to the basket on the four-wheeler. Before I leave, I'm going to pop these lids on because so oftentimes I will get sidetracked. Come up here tomorrow morning and I've left the lid off and it will have rained and then it'll start fermenting and rotting that feed down. A lot of people ferment their feed. They tend to eat less because it's higher bulk and they get more hydrated as well. Let's look at her nest real quick while we're here. See, this is already, these wood chips are warm, so there's mud under here now. This here in the sun already turning into mud. I don't expect we'll get anything out of here as cold. Yeah, the cleanest one in there split. My guess is they are all probably popped at this point because it's so cold. Although I did pick up a split one a week ago and the membrane was still there, so I guess it's possibly viable that it could hatch, you know? I don't expect we'll get anything. Nick mucked this coop out yesterday and all that chicken poop and straw is in here. That'll break down. We won't be able to use it probably till next year or so. I should have made this bin bigger. I should have had the guys make it bigger. Really, we probably need to get this kennel completely out of here and use this whole area as multiple bins. Adding chicken poop in here delays the use. If I took off the bottom, it's all just rotted down leaves, a little bit of wood chip, and rabbit poop. But adding the chicken poop in means you can't use it right away in the garden because it's just too hot. It'll burn all your plants. A lot of people say even rabbit is too hot, and you'll read a million things that say you can use it. I use it, haven't seen any issues with it. But I need to make bins. And making these bins this size, they did exactly what I said to do, and I just too tight with the blade of the tractor. We should have ran it 3 pallets instead of 2, and then it'd be way easier to maneuver. And also, while I can get in here with the tractor, it's super tight between here doing so, which is part of why the dirt right here is so good, because we're constantly mushing it into the ground and having to rake it and turn it and stuff, and it breaks it down faster. I would make these compost bins 3 pallets wide, and I'm probably going to add 2 more of them, and then also probably move them back a couple feet. That would make things just so much easier. The way you want them laid out is never the way you need them laid out, and you don't know. You just don't know what you don't know. Here's the pen. He said he just put a half a bale of straw in here. It looks great. The key to doing these birds like this with straw is to get the straw out before it gets busted down. So if you just let the birds out, they'll come out of here. These birds mostly have not been out of this coop ever. So if you just bring them out here and then you just use a broad fork or a pitchfork, I never owned one my entire life. Got one a couple weeks ago. I was super excited to buy it. Just got a cheapie at Tractor Supply. I feel like it needs to be a little longer handle. Man, it is so much easier than using a hard rake and a shovel, which we have done for, I tell you guys all the time, like, you don't know what you don't know, and the guy that knows it, he doesn't know you need to know it. You can muck this out of here probably 5 minutes, and that's with just taking a forkful and then tossing it into there. But if you do it and keep up with it, it's never a mess. If you let it mush in and become poop and food and straw, it becomes concrete. Like, they actually make concrete in Tudor time. You should watch Tudor Farms on KPBS and Wartime Farm. Amazing. You don't even have to watch it, you just listen to it. They made all their concrete and their spackling and stuff for their homes and their pig pens and stuff and their winter animal shelters. It was poop. It was poop and straw and mud. Poop, poop. It's about building soil. None of this dirt was here, none of this grass was here. If you've trained at Tack Response, that red clay that gets in your stuff and never comes out, it's chert. It's what we grow here. Basically red clay with rock in it. People call it gravel, but it's really fucking sticky mud. I don't know if that bird's chasing that bird or one's flying just because the other's flying. I don't think they've really ever experienced flying. Most of them haven't been out of the cage. I think these are going to be beautiful. I'm not sure what these are. I think they're lace wing Orpingtons. I could be completely wrong. I'm sure one of you guys knows what they are. Stock tank heaters, stock tank de-icers. You can see there's ice in here over on the side a little. Not much though, and it's that thing. Now you got to have power to run it, and when power goes out, it stops running. Anytime you have to run things with electricity, it takes a lot of electricity. So I'm sure that it would take some doing and a battery bank and stuff, you know, to run that off of a battery. You'd have to have quite a battery, I would guess. And then solar panels to charge the batteries. Even if you just had a battery backup, most people, not all, most people, though, how long's your power off for? So if you really had to run something like that to keep your stuff warm, and if it was an issue, right, put hay bales around it, insulate it, have your water source, keep a lid over it would help immensely. And then if the power went out, just switch it to your battery bank, right? And then when the sun comes up, unplug it from your battery bank or have a timer on it or whatever. There's ways to do everything. You could prolong it for several days probably with a battery. But like I tell you guys, when you need a de-icer or a stock tank heater, so does everybody else. I bought stock tank heaters in the summer when I saw them on the shelf, and they used to be 36 bucks. I looked at them on Amazon the other day and they are $65 was the cheapest I could find now. And that's part of your new normal. Everything is double doubling in price. You're really gonna see it happen this year even more. Go get one before you need it if you're gonna keep animals. Weather patterns are changing. They say that a lot of, if you look at Maunder minimum and Grand Solar minimum and stuff like that, the mini ice age that lasted for 200 years or 100 years, there's only a 2 to 3 degree shift in weather. And they're saying that we are looking at changing all of our growing zones. So if I'm 6 here, if I'm a zone 6, they're saying 2 zones. They're saying be prepared for zone 4 from now on. So that's why we bought the row house, why we did a lot of the things we did, and we're still learning. We're ahead of where we were. You can see over here, as soon as I put water and feed back in here and filled it up, they all came back in. There was one out and I kind of just shooed her in, and I just closed the door here because of course if I have a camera on and I'm coming over here to tell you all these birds went back in on their own, I'm gonna walk over here and every one of them's gonna be out. They all went right back in. Once the food's down and they're all full, if I left it open, they'd be out here wandering around, but rather than having to round them up. If you're worried about rounding up your chickens and you don't have a predator problem that you have to round them up for, if you just wait till the sun's about to go down, they'll coop back up themselves. If I let all these chickens out, all 4 pens, they would all come out here and kind of run around in their own packs. At night, every one of them would go back to the coop they're supposed to be in. They just do it. That's just how they are. I know I talk about these Rubbermaid trash cans, but I'm telling you, these things are the perfect height just to use as a table. Could I put a table in here? Sure I could. But anytime I have a table or a stand, I put stuff on it. You can see it inside the shop. There's not an empty surface anywhere because I set shit on it. But if I have this trash can here that I keep rabbit feed in, works perfect for when I'm setting pictures here or tools or camera or anything else, right? Think about it. There's a link to buy these on our Amazon. In the link in the notes, I'll put a link to it. Don't buy them on Amazon. They're too expensive. Just click that link and it will show you that. Buy them local. You'll save about $20 buying them local because the shipping on them. And on a lot of Amazon shops, they don't sell them with the lid. And these things do come with the lid at Tractor Supply and Lowe's and Home Depot. So just be aware of that. When you click any of the links to Amazon, it takes you to Amazon and we get a percentage of anything you order in the next 24 hours. So anytime you're shopping on Amazon, if you like what we do and you want to see part of your money not go to Amazon and go to somebody that you like, or maybe you watch us because you don't like us, a lot of people do, just click that Amazon, any link to Amazon in any of my videos, it'll take you right to Amazon. Anything you buy, we get a little piece of. You don't have to be embarrassed. We know somebody bought a 55-gallon drum of KY jelly. We know people buy sex toys. We don't know who. We don't care who. We see what we get a little percentage of. We don't have any clue who buys it though. They don't give us any personal information. So no embarrassment. A lot of people use Amazon. Maybe you'd like to see some of that money go to somebody that you care about, that you watch and provides content. So just, keep it in mind. I've got this nest of babies here and it's kind of beaten down. I'm going to throw a little extra straw in here. I fill these cages with straw. The rabbits push it out or eat it. I don't know if they're eating it. There's no nutritional value in there for them, just fiber. But they have plenty of pellets also. We feed these rabbits way more than most people do. They can eat literally till they're done eating. What these trash cans don't work well for is putting this clamp on the side of them. It does not seem to be holding well. It's about 6 o'clock, getting colder. I'm gonna run out and feed the dogs, and I'll just split big hamburger patty and beef liver between the 2 girls. And then Magnus, I'll give him something. I do his separate, so. We've got that light bar wired into the normal light, so when the ignition's off, it's off. Doesn't draw a lot. I can throw the ignition in the accessory switch or whatever, on switch I guess, and just not start the 4-wheeler. He was going absolutely ape shit out here earlier. So deer, maybe coyote. I don't see any eyes. Oh, yeah, it's gonna need some rock right there. Oh man, I wonder who broke my arrow off of here. I bet the dog. Man, all that time, this thing has stayed stuck in this tree. What? He thinks I'm gonna put him in the kennel. Come here, dum-dum. He ain't having it. That darn arrow stuck in that tree for years. And the dog snaps it off. Here's the zip ties from today. These are those Duracells we got years ago at Costco. And here's a Velcro adjustable holster with a fly swatter, a flashlight, and a fire extinguisher right by the door. We have those at every door. I think I'm gonna try to find a large chain jacket, but in large. This is a medium, I think. Yeah. And it works okay, but it's kind of tight with other stuff on. And I don't even have that much on right now. 6:18. I think I'll put another hour on the clip and clean table, get some more of that stuff done, and then get some work in here done. So a friend with another friend, that dude's prepared for everything except this thing. He, on his way here, had some damage to a wheel on his big F450, and then he hit a pothole on the way out to dinner tonight. His DeWalt impact driver is out of juice. He needs a battery, a sledgehammer, and a big jack. Jack, sledgehammer, baby sledge, batteries. We need a farm truck. Better yet, we need a chase truck where we just have all the tools, everything on the truck. All I was thinking was, I always heard you can't hammer out aluminum rims. Because that one I saw earlier was aluminum.
Yeah, it's steel.
Yeah. So did you think this was going to work?
Jury's out, but we'll see.
It.
You got it? Oh,
yeah.
cool.
We're just seeing if it's holding, how much air it's going to lose, if any.
You just need some green slime. Tire shop loves that. Are your hands cold?
No.
My hands are cold. My legs are cold. I'm going to start wearing long johns.
My toes literally hurt.
Man, he hit that. What do you think he hit it 10 times?
It looks like he's done that before.
Yeah. I was waiting for that fucking Ford truck next to him to catch it. It would have stuck through the door.
Talking about realest, one of the realest to try. My family, SOE, got the tools to survive.